Welcome everyone. Today we are going to learn how to write a composition. Most of the students find it not so easy to write a composition. So here we are going to discuss a few steps how to write a composition in such a manner that each and every reader finds it interesting. We are going to discuss steps so that one can plan easily and comfortably how he is to jot down the points and describe them. Keys to write composition. The first thing you have to do is prepare the basic structure of your composition after looking at the picture that you have to describe. Plan the composition structure. This is the most important element of composition writing. Starting the composition. Just by reading the first sentence of the composition, the reader understands whether he has to read the composition or not. So you have to start the composition in a very attractive manner. Describe with 5 senses. When you look at the picture for which you are supposed to write the composition, you have to use all your 5 senses. How? We will tell you. And then conclusion. Conclusion would involve your own opinion and your ideas. The first element, as I said, was prepare the basic structure. Introduce. The first thing that you have to do after looking at the picture is to introduce it. That is, you have to write a title based on the picture that is given to you. Then describe it. How you are going to describe it? You have to look at each and every element in the picture and describe it. Then opine. You have to give your own opinion, what you think about what all is happening in the picture given to you. And then you have to conclude it. If you are writing a story, you are going to write the conclusion of the story. If you are just describing the picture, you have to just say it in a sentence or two what the end result of the scene is. Plan the composition structure. This is something most important. This would decide what all you are going to include in the composition and how the transition is going to be in the composition writing. Let's take an example to understand how to plan the composition structure. Here we take this picture and explain. The first question that must come to the writer's mind is what the picture is about. That would give you the title of your composition. Second question would be who are the characters or object in the picture. Look carefully at the picture and then jot down on a paper all the characters or the objects that are given in the picture. For example, here in this picture you can see mountains, cactus, a few bushes, tent, a campfire and a person sitting next to it. So you have to jot down all these and then describe them. What is each character doing? When I said describe each and every element, here you are going to add adverbs or adjectives to each and every object and element to describe it and then write meaningful sentences related to it. Last question that should be what are your own views about the picture? In the final paragraph of the composition, you have to give your own views about the picture. So here in this picture we can tell about the weather condition or the feelings of the central character, that is the person sitting next to the fire. It is not so easy to start the composition for beginners. So here are a few things that you must keep in mind while starting the composition writing. Capture the attention of the reader. This should be the focus of the writer when starting any composition. So for this, one must write sentences in the beginning that generate interest for the reader of the composition. The first paragraph must be extremely relevant. That is, it must give an exact picture in words of what all is there in the picture given to you that you are turning into a composition. Use all your 5 senses to describe the picture. Look for the elements that you can just see. Describe them with the help of adjectives and frame sentences. Then look for the ones that you can touch and feel. Describe those. Then jot down the words that are sound words. Add them to your composition. Then look for the elements that you can describe by way of taste. And lastly, the ones that you can smell. Those elements have to be described separately. While writing the composition, don't ever rush. Keep your mind at cool and then jot down the sentences one by one, describing each and everything. After writing down the sentences, join them logically. That means you have to join all the loose ends together in a logical manner. Make plans for the future. How you are going to jot down the points and connect them one by one in a proper sequence so that it's readable and easily understandable. Express the final effect. This is going to include your own views about the central character or the central idea of the picture. After writing the composition, give yourself a little time and proofread the composition. Reread the composition so that if there is anything that you might have missed out describing, just add that on. After writing down all the ideas, just check the transition. Here by transition, it means that the first paragraph, the second paragraph, the third paragraph and so on must be one by one in a proper sequence and not in a haphazard way. Add sentences. While rereading the composition, you will come across some of the other element that you might have missed describing or something that would add something to the composition. So you can just add sentences wherever it is required. Other than adding sentences, while rereading, you might also come to a certain points which you think are not really important. So you can just remove those avoidable parts. This is all about composition writing. The main aim of composition writing is making something describe in a manner that one amuses while reading it. It has to be very interesting so that one is forced to read it and not just read the first 2 sentences or 3 and keep it aside. I hope by following these steps, you will be able to write a good composition now. I hope you like the video.